Hey everyone, welcome to our first ever episode of Prime Thoughts. I want to give a shout out to Elizabeth Bollinger for giving me the idea for the name of this series. And what this is a weekly live stream I do on Wednesdays during the day, hopefully closer to noon rather than around the 4:14 p.m. Central. We're doing it right now. But as it is, I want to introduce what this series is since it's the first ever episode. It is a series completely inspired by Cup of Jones, which is by Brandon Jones over at Easy Allies. He actually does it exclusively for his Patreon backers. I didn't want to make it an exclusive Patreon show because I just don't want to have any content locked behind a paywall, even if it's content that is directly related to people who are supporting what we do. Because honestly, we get supported in so many ways, whether it's from Patreon, whether it's from super chats and donations, people giving bits on Twitch, that I'd rather just have this be a big public event and go from there. So for those who don't know what this is, essentially the very beginning of the show, there's no time limit on this show, by the way. The beginning of the show, I'll be talking about business stuff. So stuff related to Nintendo Prime and us as a business and the things going on with that. And then I will obviously go through the questions that people put up about that are business related. Next, I'll get into some personal questions. So any questions people ask are like, what's my favorite fruit or something like that. All those would be personal questions. And then after that, we'll get into gaming related questions. Now, if you're wondering in the chat, how are these questions obtained? We actually put up a community post earlier this week. I think it was actually late last week as well. And we will put one up for next week where you could submit your questions ahead of time. This gives me time to prepare. Now, this doesn't mean that I won't take questions from the chat. Of course, I will take questions from the chat, but the questions need to be related to the current topic that I am talking about, or was brought up by another question that was pre-submitted. So as an example, if someone in the chat comes right out and asks me what my favorite Zelda game is, it doesn't really matter because we don't have any other predetermined questions that are going to get us talking about my favorite Zelda game. So again, your questions in the chat need to pertain to whatever we are talking about at the time. If you would like those questions answered that pertain to outside of that, be sure to go on that community post and ask that question for next week. So let's get right into this first episode. And the first thing I want to talk about is obviously Nintendo Prime on the whole. As you can see, I'm rocking some new fresh merch here. The red zip hoodie says Nintendo Prime on the back. You can see one of our black t-shirts back there. We obviously have launched some new merch over the past few weeks. Links to buy all that stuff is in the description below. Beyond that, Nintendo Prime itself has been doing obviously better this month. But on the whole, we're in an interesting spot at Nintendo Prime. I don't want to say a crossroads because that might be pushing it too far. But we are in an interesting place that I'm reconfiguring and rethinking a lot of things we do here. Obviously, everyone, if you're not aware, when we put up that EA video with Nintendo and comparing to EA stuff, we killed our subscriber momentum. And over the past week, we've kind of gotten it back. And it's been interesting because over the past week, I haven't been doing any Prime News videos. I've been doing a lot of voiceover gameplays, some camera down on me ones as well. And what's become clear to me is that those videos are massively more popular than my Prime News videos. Where the Prime News videos have their audience, they get like 1,000 views per video on average. But it's been interesting trying to rethink things. The Prime News videos are very time consuming. And trying to think my presentation, what's the best way to go about it. I don't want... Here's the thing. There's 1,000,000,001 voiceover gameplay channels out there for gaming. I don't want to be one of those people that only does voiceover gameplay. So there's always going to be something else besides live streams where I'm on camera. It's just a question of what that something else is going to be. What I know right now is that my individual news videos do massively better on their own than ever attached to any other story. So it's something I've been reconfiguring in my head. Viewership is up this month because of things like what have happened this past week. Madlabam in the chat did ask about the merch that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, the merch, I don't want to say it's been selling. I don't know if we've, besides Zach Sweenster, I'm not sure if we've sold a single piece of other merch. I actually have a hat as well that's in the other room. That's new merch. But yeah, I don't think the merchandise has been selling. I don't really plan for it to sell. The merch is kind of there for me. I mean, I like the Zip hoodie a lot. Now I've got two of them. I got a blue one and a red one. I like the t-shirts. Maybe people will buy it over time. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We're a small channel, so I'm not sure if you guys even care about merch. Maybe you have other designs you would like to see that's not just like our brandy. Maybe it's a slogan, you know, like where prime things happen or whatever. But yeah, it's just a very interesting thing with merch. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted by a hidden comment that's making a reference to Review Tech USA. We're not Review Tech USA, so you can keep that comment to yourself. Anyways, that's really all. Kind of a short business. Oh well, no, hold on. There's some other stuff I want to talk about. Obviously, we have E3 coming up, right? Less than a couple weeks away. Because of your guys' generosity, we're going to be going to E3, and a lot of things are different this year at E3. Because we don't have a media pass. So we're going with a gamer pass, which means we cannot have a backpack. We cannot have tripods. In fact, the only bag we can carry, my camera bag, just to carry my camera, might be considered too big. So there's just a lot of stuff to consider there. A lot of meetups I need to do. It's interesting because obviously we're using a gamer pass, but we are treating it like a media event. Even though we don't have access to the media room and all this other stuff. But you know what? We're going to make the best of what we can do. That's the whole reason there's always two of us. With something happens, there's someone else there. We need a cameraman. Eric can hold the camera for some videos. I can hold the camera for other videos. Because obviously we're not going to be able to use a tripod, which would have enabled us to have like a phone video and then my camera video. So we're going to make do. We're going to do the best we can. We're going to get our hands on as many games as we can, get as much footage as we can. Plan things out as best as we can. The only nice thing is we should be able to plan a Smash session, assuming that they're not all gone by the time we get the email for it. I'm trying to plan a session with EA right now. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what, if any, EA games are even going to be on Switch. So it's really hard to pick out which game I want to plan. Right now I'm thinking FIFA 19, because I think if there's any game that has a shot at Switch, it'd be FIFA. But I don't know. I've emailed a couple third parties as well, trying to set up some sessions to skip lines. Particularly Bethesda, I've sent an email to them, hoping I could set up a session for like Wolfenstein 2. And I clearly explained to them that like, here's our YouTube. Like, just because we don't have the credentials for a Media Pass doesn't mean that they don't think we're big enough to be getting early access to their game, or access where I get to skip the lines. So that is something that I like to take into consideration for things like that, and yeah, I'm gonna kind of leave it at that, because we're still fleshing out some plans. There are some people we're gonna be meeting up with. I know that Super Mario Dave recently expressed that he's going to E3. He'd like to meet us up there at some point. I know we're gonna meet up with Game Over Jesse and RMFH Gaming. I'm not sure anyone else that we're planning to meet up with at this point. I still have to do a straw poll of everyone I know that's going. I know Mason of Delfino's going, and I might meet up with him, and maybe I'll somehow meet up with him and like that entire crew of people he seems to hang out with, which might include Etika, might include CND and some other people, but I'm not exactly sure because I don't have connections to those people. Basically, I know Mason, who knows those people. So we'll see if I can get into the vlogging side of YouTube here with that. But yeah, there's a lot of things happening, and it's hard to even wrap my mind around it right now. And as Mark said, Nate tried to play Madden. Other than that, FIFA EA isn't on Switch. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We were basically thinking about using our one time to play our scheduled time we can do to skip all the lines to play Madden, because why wouldn't we want to play Madden? And plus, you can play the EA Play things actually before the start of E3, so we do it on that Monday before E3. So we'd actually have footage of Madden that no one's going to care about because it's probably not going to be on Switch. But yeah. I'm just glancing at the chat. I'm not really seeing any questions about anything that's related to what we're talking about now. So we're gonna move on then to the personal part. This is where anyone who asks any personal questions about my life, about favorite foods or whatever the case may be. And let me scroll up and get to the top of the personal questions because we got quite a bit of them from Elizabeth. Elizabeth Bollinger is like the MVP of our questions for this week. The first one that she has is, do my parents help me financially even if they don't agree with my YouTube job? So she's mentioned a point where I mentioned in a live stream once that my parents don't agree with what I do at all. They don't like what I do. They have never prevented me from doing what I do, but they've never supported it either. In fact, every conversation is about when are you gonna stop chasing your dream? When are you gonna stop doing this? When are you gonna get a real job? When are you gonna go blah 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 blah? Like what parents sometimes do. And I don't blame them. They're trying to have me in a position where financially I am better off, and I appreciate and understand that, especially since I have children. But no, they do not help me financially at all. 100%, they do not give me anything. Yeah, they don't eat, no gas money, no food, no helping pay rent, no buying things for my kids. I mean, they buy things for my kids on their own. I never tell them to. Like if they buy them clothes or something, it's not that we needed the clothes. They just bought it because they felt like it. Because my mom's kind of a shopaholic, especially with online shopping. But yeah, that's not really helping. I mean, maybe they view it as helping, but it's not like we need them to do that. Our kids have plenty of clothes, probably more than they need. So no, they don't help us financially at all, unless you consider that financial help. Moving on, Elizabeth Bollinger says or asks, what is Yulia most depressed about? Does she have counseling? Exactly how bad is her depression? I'm only asking because you talk about it and I am curious. It's a complicated thing because Yulia, who for those who don't know, Yulia is my fiance. Depression is a fickle thing. There's never one thing. So like when you say most depressed about, I mean, any given day it's something else. One day it's me. The next day it's one of our children. The next day it's that her food tasted like crap. Depression is this weird thing where like there's not like this one thing that just drags her down and then everything goes through the mud. It's so many varying factors that it's hard to really pick out the one thing she's most depressed about. If I had to say anything, it's that Yulia. One thing that I know that at least I feel she needs to work on, and I've talked to her about this, is she needs to find a way to be happy with herself. She, at least as long as I've known her, has seemed to be someone that tries to find happiness in other people or doing nice things for other people, like helping take care of my grandfather, who is out of the hospital, by the way, for those that are wondering, or having to deal with, like this is why she's trying to get a job in the healthcare industry. She likes helping people, or watching her children smile, or being with me and seeing me happy. Like she tries to get some happiness out of that stuff, but ultimately she's not happy with herself. And I feel like that's a huge part of her depression, is that because she can't be happy with herself, she doesn't know how to really be truly happy in any other aspect of her life. That's my opinion on it. And we've had conversations about it, so I'm not divulging anything I think is too personal. Obviously, it deals with her life, but she might have her own thoughts on this. She most likely does. I don't even know if she has even an explanation herself. It's hard to have an explanation for stuff like this. And I'm not seeing any other questions related to that. So, but yeah, that's really it. How bad is her depression? Well, she just had her current depression meds triple dosed because they stopped working. It's pretty bad. I feel like if she didn't have children, she might not be here. You can make of that what you will. And I don't mean be here as in be with me. I mean be on this planet. So right now, there's basically one thing preventing her from doing the worst thing you can do on depression. So yeah, she's very bad. Thankfully, the medication, even though it's just been triple dosed, is helping keep her from the lowest of lows. But when she hits those low points, it's hard on everyone. All right, moving on. Elizabeth Bollinger says, what's my favorite type of sandwich? Oh man. Um, I originally was gonna go with the classic PB and J, right? Like I always love peanut butter and jelly. But if I'm being honest, I probably like the. It's kind of a toss up, a three-way toss up, and I'm gonna be going with some sandwich shops here that I like the most. I like the teriyaki chicken on Italian urban cheese at like the 6 inch or foot long at Subway. I love that. The other one that I'm really into is again teriyaki themed here. A place called Charlie's in the mall. I think they're at some other places as well across the country. That does like they cook the meat right there and blah blah. I like the teriyaki ones there. They're really known for their Philly cheesesteaks, but I actually like their teriyaki one better. And then to get away from the teriyaki, I actually like Quiznos Italian sub. I don't know, something about it's great. I also kind of like the Italian one that they have at what is it, for a cold sub, because all these are heated, by the way. I like heated subs if you can't tell, heated sandwiches. But if I'm going with the cold one, I like Jimmy John's, the night Italian one or whatever that comes with two different. Comes with the pepperoni, the salami, and then I add on the spicy peppers, which are just like jalapenos. Good stuff. And I don't eat. I probably should eat the sandwiches more often. Usually, when I get to Jimmy John's, I try to get the unwich. I actually like it better with the bread. But if you get it without the bread, suddenly the sandwich becomes extremely healthy for you, because the bread is like one of the worst parts of the whole thing. Plus, if you tell them no mayo and you ask for light mayo packets, it makes it a little bit healthier for you as well. Because unlike diet soda, like this, technically light mayo is actually healthier for you. Whereas this, it's healthier for you in one way and worse for you in another way. So it's kind of weighing the health benefits there and health risks over what you want to eat, kind of thing. Let me glance at the. At the chat quick and just see if there wasn't anything I missed. I'm going to minimize this down a little bit just so I can see both. No, full screen then. And then bring this up. There we go. All right. I'm just glancing at the chat here. Mark was saying how much stuff. I think he's just directing the chat because we don't do any swearing on our day streams. There's no drinking or anything. Even though technically I could drink. Oh, I can't drink now. There's no alcohol here. But if I had alcohol, I'm not with my children, so I could drink now. But no. That's not what our day streams are about. Night streams, we'll usually have some drinks and stuff like that. But nope, my day streams are basically family friendly stuff. You guys can still super chat and donate and do all that stuff if you want. You just get a shout out and I read off whatever you're saying. Maybe I'll answer your question. The next personal question comes from Elizabeth as well. She asked, does Yulia work and does she get mad about the financial part of YouTube? Does she work? Technically, the cabin I'm in right now and the cabin that her parents rent out as well, she cleans that cabin every Saturday and her parents do pay her for it. So you could call that a job if you want, even if it's under the table. Otherwise, right now, she does not currently have another job. So she does not currently work. She has had jobs. She's never kept a job since I met her because usually her depression kicks in at some point. She ends up skipping work, being late to work, sleeping through a shift. And that's with me, like, trying to get her up and trying to get her motivated. When a bad bout of depression hits, every single time she ends up losing her job. And it sucks because explaining to an employer that they need to be flexible because of your depression is very difficult to do. And plus, if a lot of people could just claim they have depression, and then every employer has to be able, oh, you missed work, that's no big deal. Like it is a big deal. So yeah, she doesn't really have a job like that anymore. Then as for does she get mad about the financial part of YouTube? No. But the reason she doesn't get mad is because I don't really tell her anything about the financial side of YouTube. I don't know if she's looked at one of my pay stubs in like 5 years. Basically, because she doesn't work or hasn't consistently worked, the biggest thing is that everything that they need is taken care of. Food on the table, health insurance, rent, electric's paid, internet's working, Netflix is up because she likes to go to Netflix sometimes when she's not doing well and just needs to kind of get her mind out of things. She'll like to watch some Netflix stuff and stuff like that. She only really starts to get mad if she gets to a really low point, then wants to go to the casino or something, and I tell her, honey, I can't afford for you to go to the casino. Then she gets mad, but she doesn't really ever get mad about the financial part of YouTube. She knows, she has a rough estimate of what I make because I let her know that, I make about X amount of money per month. But yeah, that's really as far as it goes. Speaking of that, I forgot, there was a question from Mark that wanted to know how much money I made all month this month. Before the last stream, I was at about $350-ish. After the live stream, not counting the donations, which come to me instantly. So like, Mark, your $150 that came to me instantly. So that's not actually, that's revenue I have now versus revenue having in the future. The revenue for the future is at 700 right now, something like that. And that's before my MCN takes a cut. So, yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's still low, but we're already ahead of last month, which was our lowest month in a long time. So we are ahead of last month. I can't give you any exact numbers because YouTube kind of gets a little finicky, as does my MCN gets a little finicky when I give you exact numbers, because I'll be like, look, this is how much we've made. Then my MCN takes money out, and here's how much we really made. It's like, they don't want me talking about that kind of stuff too much. But, yeah, we'll be free of our MCN in October. So that is, well, I give them a 30-day notice before October, and then we're free as of October. And then then all of the money besides Google's cut will come to me, which will be awesome. Because I don't feel like our MCN's doing much for us right now. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll leave them and my ad revenue will tank even worse, and then I'll realize I need an MCN. I don't know. I don't really know how much they're helping. So, let me see here. Elizabeth had another personal question. Are you and Yulia still planning on getting married? Why not do a courthouse wedding until you can save up more money? Money's not really the issue for the wedding. We do plan to get married. If you talk to her, she'll say, "Oh yeah, we'll ever get married." But she plans to marry me. We have been talking about a date for next year. The problem is we have to get past the initial phase, and what we're stuck in a rut in is my family is adamant that we get married by a priest. I really don't care if we get married by a priest. I'm not super religious. Yes, I believe in God, but that's pretty much I believe in God and I believe in Jesus, and that's pretty much the extent of my religious beliefs. I'm not going to vehemently defend my religion. I'm not going to say I believe in all the traditions and all that stuff. That's not who I am. But I'm also not caring if I get married by a priest or not. My theory is, that God should accept my marriage whether or not it's done by a priest. I don't think a priest doing my marriage has anything to do with the importance of that marriage. I can invite God into my marriage without a priest being there to do it. I don't think that's a necessary thing like my church thinks it is. So, well, my parents' big deal is they want us to get married by a priest. And she's a Lutheran, I'm Roman Catholic, which isn't a big deal. It's still all Christians. But the priest she wanted to use moved away. The priest I wanted to use lives nowhere near here. The priest we were going to do it with when we first started making wedding plans back in 2014, she... let's put it this way. She didn't like that priest. So it's finding a priest that we like. Now my parents, I think, are trying to force a dinner coming up where we sit down with their priest at a dinner at my parents' house and talk about it. The big thing that's scaring my fiance away, because we're trying to please our family with a wedding. I know it doesn't make any sense. We should be thinking of other things. But we're trying to please our family with the wedding a little bit. And because of that, Yulia's big thing is she doesn't want to go through the quote-unquote marriage counseling my religion requires, which is basically where you have 3 or 4 sessions where you sit down with a priest and they talk to you about marriage and the expectations of marriage and how God applies to your marriage. And she doesn't want to go through with that stuff because, let's be honest, it's her depression. She doesn't know how she's going to react. She doesn't think a priest would necessarily understand it per se because they don't know her. And she might say something completely out of line, and the priest might not be willing to marry us because of it. Like laughing at something that she doesn't think is important in the moment because she's too worried about her kids or whatever. So getting through that part's very difficult for her. My fiance gets extremely nervous about things like this. It's a nervous thing, you're getting married, but there's no doubt we're going to get married someday. I've joked around with her before that what's going to end up happening is one day I'm going to do what you said. I'm going to save up money, but instead of going to the courthouse, because I can't convince her to do a courthouse wedding, I'm just going to take her on a trip to Vegas, pop some drinks in her, take her through one of those drive-through wedding spots, get married on the spot, and be done with it. And then we'll worry about getting it blessed by a priest and having a reception at a later date. But yeah, I would have witnesses. We bring Eric with and whoever else. You can ask Nate on a night stream the problem with that priest. It's not appropriate for a day stream. You could ask what's wrong with the priest. What was the question about the priest? Priests are the best scam artists in the world. There's nothing that was scammy about the priest that she didn't like. He just it's kind of the aura he presented himself with that I think really, really bothered her. It's kind of the tone of his voice. I actually liked the priest that we were originally going to get married by, but it's kind of a neither here nor there situation when it comes to that. You either like the priest at your church or you don't. I've had several different priests at my church I didn't like. And the one I really liked was from my childhood, and he's like not even around here anymore. Let me see here. So yeah, we're gonna get married. I just don't know when. Probably I don't know. I don't know when. I don't know if it's gonna be because I trick her into a Vegas trip, or I don't know, or I can finally get her with a priest she's comfortable with. I don't even care if the priest is Lutheran, as long as it's a priest, and then do it that way. So basically, we're either eloping in Vegas, or it's just going to be when we finally find the one priest that understands her. We'll see whenever that happens, if it ever happens. Elizabeth then said, do I like scary movies? What's my favorite that scares you to this day? I like scary movies. Now, Yulia is she loves horror movies to the extreme. She's probably seen every single scary movie there is on Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime, all the free ones. She has seen all of them. She loves scary movies, including all the half-star rated ones. Like, she's seen all of them. I like them. I don't like them to that extreme. Is there one that scares me to this day? Nah. Scary movies sometimes scare you in the moment, but then after you watch it again and again, it's just not as scary to me. That's the thing. Like, scary movies are the things that are cool to watch once, and the more you watch them, like the less scared I get. Because I know it's going to happen and all that stuff. I get more entertained by it in different ways, like laughing at not realizing things sooner kind of thing. But yeah, there's not really one that scares me to this day. Probably The Exorcist. That one kind of gets me a little bit. And then obviously this, if you don't believe in exorcisms, then you probably just think the whole thing's laughable anyways. But that's kind of one that gets me a little bit. But I don't really get scared unless it's a new scary movie that comes out. Mark Greenberg had a question. Are your two boys yours and Yulia's, and then your girl is a stepdaughter or something else? So he's probably realized it by now. My two boys are mine. Mine and Yulia's. So Aiden was our first child together. He just turned 5 years old yesterday. So obviously we had him 5 years ago. And then he was actually still in the hospital 5 years ago because he had something. He had a rough start to his life. And then Ollie is our second child together. He is 2.5 years old at this point, and also a boy. And then our daughter, you could call it a stepdaughter situation. To me, I don't like the term stepdaughter because it makes you feel like she is something less to you than your other children, right? Like, I know that's not what it has to mean. It just has to do with the fact I'm not the biological dad. But no, I am not the biological father of Melody. I was raising her from the age of 9 months until through today. And from the time I got into her life until about the time she was 4 or 5, the biological father was basically not involved in her life at all. So for the first 4 or 5 years of her life, I'm dad. There was no other. He paid his child support, and that was it. Now he is definitely a lot more involved, which is good and bad. It's good because I feel like I want her to know her biological father and everything, and I don't think he's necessarily a bad guy. He was afraid. I mean, not just of Yulia, like afraid of having a kid. Like I get it. I'm a parent. I know how scary it is. But I don't run away from my responsibilities like he did. But he ran away, and lucky for him, and lucky I guess for Yulia, and mostly for Melody, that I was there to be that father for her, because I truly believe children are grow up at their best when they have both parents actively involved. When they have a mother and a father, even if they're adopted or whatever it is, mother-father combo, or mother-mother, father-father, whatever the case may be. You know, if you're into those kind of couples, I feel like it's important to have those two big parent figures in your life. So I was there to make sure she had that, and then he got back involved, and it makes things really difficult between us. Not because I think he's a bad guy, but because the way he parents is a lot of, I feel guilty for not being there for 4 to 5 years, so I'm going to let her do anything she wants and walk all over me and not have any rules and buy her anything she wants because he makes more money than I do. And I have other kids to worry about, and he just has her, so he has even more money to spend on her, and blah, 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 blah. It strains the relationship because for a long time, Melody was actually getting in trouble in school, believe it or not, this past school year. And she's a really good kid, so like her getting sent to the principal's office is not good. So we told Chris that he wasn't going to have Melody overnight anymore during the week. And as soon as that changed, suddenly her behavior got better. And she has actually been one of the best behaved kids in her whole school ever since we did that. So it's difficult because his parent, he's always going to be the more liked and loved parent by Melody because of how much he spoils her, and because anytime she needs something, she can go to him and he'll just buy it. But I'm hoping that me and Yulia can instill some morals in her and make her grow up to realize that life doesn't just hand you things, that you need to earn it. And one thing we're doing in our house is we actually have a star chart now. So all of our children, including our 2-year-old, they do things around the house. Picking up their clothes and putting them in the laundry chute. Putting away their dishes. Cleaning up the toy room when they're done playing. Picking up their toys outside. Etc. Like they do all this stuff and they earn stars for it. And then when they get so many stars, they can have a piece of candy. And if they collectively get, like, say, 500 stars all together for a month, we'll take them on a trip to the water park or something. So instead of us just randomly taking them to do stuff like that, now it's like, no, if you want to do that kind of stuff, you need to be responsible for yourself and for others. Like, even help, like Ali obviously is going to need help at times. Be responsible for yourself and your fellow other people in the house, and then you'll be rewarded. I know some people like to do allowance and stuff like that but I don't actually, like, eventually I'll probably do an allowance for some things like mowing the grass. You can get like $5 for mowing the grass or something, but right now I feel like it's more important for my children to learn the things they already get in life, like trips to the water park or candy or something like that, that it's not something that you should just expect to be given to you for nothing, that you should expect to earn the things that you get in life, and then be appreciative of the fact that there's people around that can give you those things. And that's something I'm trying to instill, especially in my daughter. So we'll see what happens with that. Let me see here. Does the biological father still have to pay child support, says Mark? Yes. Yes, he does. Yulia has primary placement. So basically whoever has primary placement, they get child support paid to them. So if he had primary placement, she would have to pay child support to him, but that's not the way it is. She has primary placement, which basically means she gets to make all the big decisions. Any decision Yulia makes overrides him. That's why something like, you're not going to take her overnight anymore, he can't do anything about that right now. He would have to go to court and get a legal mandate that he would like have her, like, this night, no matter what Yulia says, he gets her. But the problem is, and we've tried doing stuff like that before because we wanted to be fair to him, he would just randomly be like, I got to work late, I can't take her. What do you mean you got to work late and you can't take your daughter? What do you mean you got called in on the weekend and now you need us to watch Melody? I'm sorry. Since when is that our problem? Like, these are the things that frustrated me about the situation. Is his job was always coming before his daughter, and it's like, dude, if your job is preventing you from having your daughter, then you either need to quit your job or tell your boss that, look, I have my kid on these days, I can't work, because or hire a babysitter. Do it responsible. Like when Yulia and I, the one time she had a job at a hotel, and I was working, I think, at McDonald's or something. So we'd have to go. Guess what we had to do? Find babysitters, pay for daycare. The last thing we did was go to Chris and be like, hey, Chris, can you watch Melody so we can work? Like, no, it's not his responsibility to watch Melody so we can work. So, like, I hate that he always puts that on us. And the thing is, it's not like it matters. I have my boys anyways, and I love her. And my daughter's never going to be not welcome to the house. But it's just like, it's frustrating to see him not take it as seriously as I feel like he needs to. Feeling like he could just dump all of it on us. So this is why, like, he's never going to go to court and get a legal mandate that he has to have her on this day or that day, because he knows that there's going to be times when he has her on those days that he can't have her. So it's just, it's frustrating. Let's just say that. It's frustrating. Mark Greenberg says, when Melody, was there stream lag for a second? Hold on, let me check. Oh, everything looks good. It says the stream health is good. Maybe it lagged for a second earlier. Mark Greenberg said, when Melody gets older, I guarantee she likes you better. When she learns right and wrong and what really matters, not toys, she will love you more. It's just right now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing. I never grew up in like a kind of a split home situation like that. So what I know of from my friends who grew up in split homes like that, and you had the one parent that gave you everything you wanted and the other parents that had rules, you know what ended up happening? As they grew up, the parents with rules ended up being hated, and when they were old enough, they decided to live with the parent that hands them everything, and then they grow up and they get into the bad crowds and they do the bad stuff, and they feel like life's always going to hand them everything, and they rely on that other person to pay for everything. That person loses their job, they're out on the street, and things just go to hell. I have never seen a situation where you're describing, where she grows up and ends up appreciating us more for teaching her things, because she'd rather just not do those things at all, and she has an opportunity when she's older to tell us to screw off and go live with somebody else and not do those things at all. So it's kind of one of those, we hope we're raising her right, but ultimately we don't know how it's going to turn out. So we're trying. It's very hard to counter parenting of, here's everything you want one day, the next day you have rules and you have to earn a piece of candy. Like, it's so hard to warp a child's mind around that. It's just hard. Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult. Yeah, what is right, what is wrong sounds really subjective. There's a lot of subjectiveness to it. There are certain things that I feel like you should just, like, as an example, one thing we are doing, and I feel like this is actually going to help her even more than our parenting. Next year we have pulled her out of public schools and we're sending her to private schools. And you can disagree with that decision if you guys want. I don't care whether or not you think a religious school is a good thing or not. What I care is that, one, the class sizes are smaller, so the teachers pay more attention to each individual student and communicate with the parents when they sense something's going wrong at school, because sometimes kids don't tell you that stuff. Two, well, I don't necessarily care if my kids are like big believers in religion and God. What I do hope they get out of it is a good moral compass, right? Like, I'm not huge into religion, but I have a pretty good moral compass because of it. So I hope that my children learn that as well. And you might say, oh, it's subjective, but I feel like there's some things we can kind of generally agree are just not good, like murdering people. Pretty sure that's terrible. Racism. Pretty sure that's terrible. And these are things that you actually learn through the schools, to be more accepting of people, and trying to be more accepting of people's differing opinions. And even if you end up not believing in God, at least believing in people's rights and stuff like that. Like, they do a lot of that stuff at these schools, and I know because I went through the same school system that my children are now going to go through. So we're hoping that combined with our parenting will give her the moral compass she needs to understand that things are not going to be handed to her when she's older, but we'll see. Let me see. Mark Greenberg says, Nate, the key is that you have to raise her right. I don't know this guy, and it's very possible you biased. Okay, yeah. And you can't think and but you can think about taking away his rights if you feel. No, I wouldn't ever do that. Because not only because she's a little older now, so it would be really hard to tell her, hey, you're not going to see your other dad anymore. I would never do that to him. I don't think he's a bad guy. Like, his name's Chris. I don't think Chris is a bad guy. He is. He's well-meaning. He works hard, and I don't think that he is someone that I don't want my children around. The problem is he doesn't know how to act like a parent. He acts like a child around her. When he's around her, he might as well be 2 years old when he's around her. It's terrible. I feel like I need to discipline him when he's around. Like, it's like I have an extra child in the house. And there's times when you can be goofy with kids, right? Like, of course you can goof off with your kids and be silly. But, like, you can't be that way 24/7 with them. And that's the way he is with her 24/7. And it's just... It sets bad examples and bad precedents. Nothing I can really do about it. But, yeah. Sweet Life of Dio Brandon says it's understandable. You moved away from a large school to a small school and preferred the smaller school. It has a more peaceful atmosphere. I mean, that's really it. I mean, it's not so much... I mean, the religion stuff helps with the morals, but it's just getting that attention, having teachers that care more about your students, that don't feel overworked. That's kind of the big thing. The public schools always have way more students than I realistically think the number of teachers can handle. Whereas at the Catholic schools, I don't have to worry about that. Like, her graduating class might only be 15 students, for crying out loud, when she graduates high school. Like, really dinky. There's going to be... I'm going to basically know everything going on in her life at all times at that school. Outside of, obviously, little teenage things she wants to hide, like who she's dating or whatever. But, yeah. It's... Bane the cat. Yeah, I actually have experience with private religious school. It was a brainwashing center with teachers spreading misinformation. Moral compass my ass. Dude, not all schools are the same, man. That's all I can tell you. Not all schools are the same. I love the private school system I grew up in, the Catholic school system I grew up in. It does a very good job of everything. We had people who didn't believe in God at all that were going there when I was younger, and they just enjoyed the fact that once a week you have church, and church takes away from class time, and you just get to sit in the back and, I don't know, these days probably text on your phone and nobody cares. You can... Oh, guys. You know what's funny, though? Like, when Cassie H. talks about main thing at private schools is you literally cannot escape bullying. You know what's nice about my school system? There's almost more teachers than students, so bullying just doesn't happen. There's teachers everywhere. You can't even get dressed in the locker room without a teacher right there. There is like no bullying. Like, they're so closely monitored. The only bullying that might happen is outside of school hours, on a sports practice team or something where maybe they don't have enough coaches to keep an eye on everything at once. There's almost no bullying that happens at the private schools because of that. Doesn't mean there isn't that underlying bulliness that can happen sometimes, where you're kind of shaming someone by excluding them. Like, that kind of stuff happens, but I hope I raise my kids to rise above that crap, because that stuff doesn't matter, to be honest. Home Horfam ask what tips for a newborn. I guess it's kind of related for personal questions. Tips for a newborn? Every newborn's different. So I've had to go through 2 newborns plus 1 9-month-old. They're all different. All 3 of them were different experiences. The big thing is, especially if you're working, is you just need to find if you happen, are you with the person you had a child with? That's number 1. If you're with the person you had a child with, the big thing is you need to rotate. You can't put all the responsibility on one person. Like, you're going to be because I carried it for 9 months, you're going to be the one every single night waking up with the kid, even though you also work full time. That can't be a thing. Like, you guys need to rotate the responsibilities. If you don't rotate the responsibilities, someone's going to get overwhelmed massively. You need to support each other like that. If you're on your own, then you just have to do the best you can. Like, there's not a, no matter how many, I could write like a book on parenting and it might not matter for you, because what worked for me might not work for you. So just being sure you always have everything you need, supply wise, that you're never short on formula, or maybe you're breastfeeding. I don't know. Just making sure you have everything you need, and being patient, because babies don't give a crap when you're sleeping. They don't give a crap you have to work. They don't give a crap that you're taking a crap. Babies need and want you all the time, and you're not going to be able to get them into any sort of schedule until they're like 6 months. Once you hit about 6 months, you could start teaching them that this is nighttime now. This is when you should start sleeping through the night. And you obviously don't say that to them because they don't understand that. But you can start getting them more in a schedule. Like, look, they might be tired, and it might be 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But if you keep them up until 6, they might sleep until 6 the next day. So just suffer through the crying, keep them up till 6, and then have them sleep through the night. And these are things you just kind of learn. Otherwise, you're just going to have kids that have crappy sleep patterns forever, and you don't want to deal with that. Anyways, discipline him. I can't discipline him. I can't discipline Chris. Nothing I can do about him. I don't have any rights to Melody. I have 0 rights. I have nothing. Legally, nothing I can't tell Chris to do jack squat. That's what sucks. Till I'm married, then I have some rights, but even my rights are still in 3rd place behind him. So it wouldn't matter. So it's not up to me. It's up to Yulia holding him to it. Yulia's not going to hold him to it. So it's already been proven in stuff we've tried to get him to do in the past. Yulia's not going to hold him. If Yulia's not going to hold him to it, then I can't hold him to it. So don't Catholics not believe in gay marriage? Something like that. I don't know. I don't care. As I said, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. The rest of the stuff, you know what? It's just people being people. That's cool, Bane the Cat. I mean, you can agree, you can disagree with that all you want. I don't necessarily think you get morals from religion. I think what you get is you learn morals through the actions of others, is kind of how I view it. And my thing is, when you are at the public school system, our public school system, I don't know how, again, I can't judge anybody else's, but our public school system, nobody gives a shit about you. So you learning right from wrong is very difficult when a whole bunch of people doing really bad things all the time never get in trouble for it, because nobody cares. Like, it's like kind of watching the 13 Reasons Why, right? Like, there'll be all that bullying happening, and nobody at the school, the teachers, the counselors, nobody gives a crap, because nobody's paying attention. And when they do pay attention, they still don't give a crap and still don't do anything. Whereas at the Catholic school, what happens at our Catholic schools anyways, isn't so much that the religion gives you the morals, so much as, because all of the teachers there are basically religious in some way. They don't always push the religion on you, but they have like that foundation. What they do is, when something is wrong, they kind of explain why it's wrong. They don't bring God into why it's wrong at these schools. But they'll talk about, like, say someone punched someone in the face. Instead of like the person who did the punching getting in trouble, sometimes it might be the person that made them punch them get in trouble, and then they both get talked to. Like, it's hard to explain. It's more so a moral compass. I don't think religion itself is a moral compass, because that gets into a whole debate on the values of religion. But what I can say about our private schools is that all of our teachers have a very good moral compass, and they taught me a lot of right from wrong just through actions. And I'm hoping that happens for my children. Again, you can feel free to disagree with that, and that's fine. Your experience at a private school seems to be one of the bad experiences. And I've heard some horror stories just from other school systems that are like 20 miles away from mine. I have heard some horror stories, but those didn't happen at my school. So I am perfectly fine with my choices for my children. Oh, I hate that. Casual Gameplays talks about how No idea what private or U.S. schools are like, but in the U.K., if it's not on a test, forget it. You don't need to learn it. You just need to know it. Jeez. All right. Let's move on to the next section. I think that's the end of the personal questions. Or is it the end? Maybe it wasn't the end. Hold on. Oh, yeah. No, we had one more question from Elizabeth Bollinger. She asked, do I like Hellmann's or Miracle Whip? I'm a Miracle Whip kind of guy. Either or is fine, to be honest, but I'm a Miracle Whip kind of guy. No real reason. I just kind of like the flavor a little bit more. Nothing else really with that. That's awesome, Chelsea, that your son started sleeping through the night at 4 months. Aiden started sleeping through the night almost instantly, like within the first week. My Ollie, he didn't start till like 5 months in, so it's different with every kid. You know, you don't know how fussy they are. There's teething sometimes happening. It's just, you don't really, every kid's different. All right, so we have our gaming-related questions. This one comes from Elizabeth Bollinger, who says, what's my top 5 favorite snacks you like to eat? Well, video gaming. Sunflower seeds. That's a big one. I should eat less of them, but I do like eating those when I'm gaming. That's why I usually don't voice chat while I'm gaming outside of live streams, because it's really annoying. Let's see. Obviously, there's the good old potato chips, Doritos, whatever. I try not to eat a lot of those because they're just, like, if sunflower seeds are bad, those are like 20 times worse. I do like to have carrots. That's one of my healthy snacks I like to have. If there's a bag of carrots by me, even right now, I would have been eating it during this live stream because I am getting hungry. So carrots. So I did sunflower seeds, chips, carrots. Trying to think quick. So yeah, those are the 3 I knew I was going to say for sure. I should have thought about this more beforehand. What other snacks do I like to have when I'm gaming? Because that's really it. I don't know if I have 2 more. I really don't think I do. I mean, sometimes I'll eat my lunch or my dinner while I'm gaming. But that doesn't really count. That's not really a snack. That's me just not taking a break from gaming and continuing it while I eat. So yeah, I'm just going to go with 3. I don't have 5. I couldn't even, I mean, I guess pretzels would probably be another one. I've been having some pretzels lately. And, no, not popcorn. Popcorn's pretty much only when I'm watching movies. Oh, just like a veggie tray. So not just carrots, but you throw some celery on there. Sometimes celery with peanut butter is really good. But carrots, celery, black olives, green olives, like those onion green stalks you can buy, stuff like that. Like a little plate of that with some pickles. I kind of like a little gathering of that. I don't do that as often as I should. It's because it's so hard to keep fresh ingredients. Here's the problem: I love vegetables and I love fruit. I don't like eating fruit while I'm gaming. It just gets controllers sticky and stuff. But the problem with fruit and vegetables is it's kind of expensive to buy it, and even when you get it all on sale, it's gone in our house within like a day or two because everybody in the house loves fruits and vegetables. So like I could end up probably spending $1,000 on just fruit and vegetables every month. Like it's crazy how much we love it. We just can't afford to keep buying it. Sucks. It sucks knowing that, oh, my kids are eating potato chips right now when I know they would probably rather have some raspberries, blueberries, and some carrots. But even for as cheap as carrots are at like $1 a bag, I'm telling you, you have no idea with this family of 5, when everyone loves eating that stuff, how quickly, like a bag of carrots, like I'll bring home like 5 bags of carrots for $5. That day, 4 of those bags will be gone. Like the other 4 people in the house, before I even get to them, will get a whole bag to themselves. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy how much my kids love it. I'm glad they like their fruits and vegetables, by the way. Aiden's got to work a bit more on his vegetables. He's more of a fruit guy. But Melody and Ollie both like fruit and vegetables. But yeah, it's crazy how fast that stuff goes in my house. Which is good. I mean, it's a good kind of crazy. Just a good kind of crazy where I wish I could afford more of it. Let me see here. The next question we have that was submitted is, what are my top 5 favorite Zelda side quests? Well, the number 1 side quest of all time is always that Majora's Mask one. The Anju and Kaffy side quest. Very, very long, but very, very rewarding. Maybe the most rewarding side quest ever in gaming, possibly. just very, very heartfelt, very impactful, very meaningful. And then you reset it. Then you reset the 3 days, and it's like it never happened. But yeah, that side quest is always among my favorites. This is a weird one because it shouldn't be one of my favorite side quests, but for some reason I can't get enough of it in Zelda. And it is that damn mail sorting game in the Wind Waker and the Wind Waker HD. It is the stupidest mini-game-ish side quest phone game thing in the world. I don't know what it is about it, but I'm addicted as hell to it, man. Every time I play it, I'm sorry, I'm going to keep going and I'm going to keep trying to set new records. Like, I don't know what it is about it, but I love it. So I'm going to throw that one on there, even though compared to other side quests out there, that really shouldn't be as big a deal. But then there's the entire side quest with the aliens out on the ranch in Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask basically has almost all my favorite side quests. Let me see. I'm trying to think if there's even a side quest in Breath of the Wild that you know what? I thought the side quest in Breath of the Wild to build out that town. It's a pretty lengthy side quest, and there's multiple facets and multiple parts to it. I really like that, though. I really like the idea of adding a whole village to the game because of things you're doing, and that village expanding because of things you're doing in the game. So I really like that. I'm gonna throw that on there from Breath of the Wild. That one was really good. I mean, does the Cave of Ordeals count from Twilight Princess? Because that's side content. I think I'll count that. Cave of Ordeals. We'll throw that in there. So there you go. That's my top 5 Zelda side quests that I can think of right now. I'm sure if I thought more, it'd probably be strictly just Majora's Mask ones. But I didn't want to be one of those people that just picks Majora's Mask side quests, because Majora's Mask side quests are basically the best side quests in all of Zelda. Nothing's topped them yet. And there's some other side quests in the Wind Waker that are pretty good. But for some reason, mail sorting game. That's the one I picked. Let me see here. Do you want to know what 5 side quests are my least favorite that I dreaded doing with Zelda? Or actually, I shouldn't say with Zelda, with anything in general, I guess. My least favorite side quest. Escort missions. Any escort mission. Whether it's part of the side quest or not, I hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it. Like, at first I didn't mind taking Medley through the dang dungeon in Dragon Roost Island, but after a while it just got annoying. I know it's not a side quest, that's part of the main quest, but there's some side quests like in World of Warcraft that involve escorting people, and just it's really repetitive. It's all the same thing. It's okay, we have to go from point A to point B. You're gonna walk really, really slowly. Things are gonna pop up and attack you. I need to kill those things before they kill you, and I need to rinse and repeat this over and over and over again. And I think that's mostly my issue with escort quests, is it's all so samey. So I gotta say that's one of my least, like, any side quest, even main quest that involves escorts, I hate it. I shouldn't say it. There's probably an escort quest or two if I thought really hard about it I enjoyed, but I can't think of any right now. Usually some of it's because the AI is dumb, like just dumb. Puts itself in the way of fire in an FPS game. Like, why? Look, I told you to get down, and instead you're like, hi, shoot at me. It's like, come on. I'm not going to be your bullet shield. God, I'm not. Ugh. Anyways. Let me see. Another side quest I hate. If I think of a Zelda specific one, in case you meant Zelda stuff. This is going to sound weird, but I was not a big fan of Bomba-Choo Bowling in Ocarina of Time. You figure I would be. Like, I thought when I was a kid, I thought I liked it when I was a kid, to be honest. And then when I replayed it a few weeks ago, I'm like, this isn't really that fun. I don't know why, but it just isn't as fun to me as it used to be. Let me see. I don't know if I can think of 5. That's only 2. I know there's more. Pretty much anything in Odyssey that involves collecting moons that isn't part of the main quest. Yes, there are way too many moons. Same with Breath of the Wild. Way too many Korok seeds. All the Korok seeds that are samey are bullshit. Same with the shrines, by the way. I'm fine with having a test of strength, a test of minor strength, a test of major strength. That's all fine. We don't need the same shrines like that over and over and over and over and over again. I don't even, what's to make up 40 of the 120 shrines or 124 shrines? Like, all of those are just, no. No. Let's see. And same in Odyssey. Like, I like moon collecting, but there's so many moons that it's ridiculous. Pound the ground and here's a moon. Oh my gosh. Hit the spark and here's a moon. Oh my god. Like every 5 feet in every level there's a dang moon. It's like, why? Why? You don't need 900 of these things. Or 999 or whatever. There's a lot of them. That's a bird. Must be a bird nest up there. Blue jay. Anyways. Oh, it's annoying. It's so annoying. We'll leave it at that. I think that's pertinent. I'm going to glance at chat and see if there was any questions related to my snacks or top 5 or least favorite stuff. If there's other gaming related questions, go wait till I get to that topic. Let me see. What's my favorite retro RPG? Retro RPG. Probably Secret of Mana. Action adventure RPG there. Like, it used to be my favorite game of all time, so it'd have to be Secret of Mana. Let me see. What's my favorite 3D Mario? It's The Sweet Life of Dio Brando. Favorite 3D Mario. What is my favorite 3D Mario? Is it Odyssey? It might be Odyssey. Because you got Mario 64, Mario Sunshine. No. Okay, sorry. It's Galaxy 2. I totally forgot about the Galaxy games. It's Mario Galaxy 2 is my favorite. Can't believe I forgot about the Galaxy game. See, if I forgot about the Galaxy games, is it really my favorite? Like, I just wasn't thinking of them in context of being a 3D Mario game. But yeah. Let's see here. Man, someone deleted their save file twice on the Wind Waker. That sucks. Christian, I'll get to that question later because I think we have some E3 questions coming up later. Yeah, some of the moons are pointless. Korok seeds, blah, blah, blah. All right, question about snacks. Did I miss something? Yeah, we had Elizabeth Bollinger asked me what my top 5 favorite snacks to have while I'm gaming. I think I came up with 5. Pretty sure I did. Although you can argue the one with carrots and then the one with veggie tray, kind of a cop out, kind of the same thing. But let me see here. Next up, if you could make a video game, this comes from Elizabeth as well. What kind of game would I make? Here's the problem. There are currently 2 video game projects I'm involved in. And I can't talk about them. I mean, I could, but I'm not going to. Because they're original games that Eric, myself, and some friends are kind of conceptualizing to build eventually. We're only in the conceptualizing stage, and then we'll start doing some proof of concepts. So, like, I can't talk about those 2 because we might actually make one of them at least one day. And they're, like, we feel our ideas for it are so original that I don't really want to put it out there publicly because someone out there might say, man, that's a damn good idea, and then they'll take it. Maybe if someone else does the idea before us, maybe then I'll talk about it. But we feel like we have a couple original ideas that I just don't want to talk about. So, besides those, if I could make a video game, what kind of game would I make? I would make one of two games. Setting aside those ones. I would either make a Zelda / Secret of Mana style of game. Obviously, my favorite kinds of games. Or I would make an RTS. That's kind of like Age of Empires. Something in that vein. Like a StarCraft, Age of Empires, Warcraft, kind of somewhere in there. Obviously standing on its own with its own unique mechanics. Because one thing I really want to put in RTS is a full-on political system where not only can you create allies, you could potentially marry them. As an example, like if there's queens and kings and princes, like and princesses, like you can potentially marry them, and then things get really complicated when it gets to the point where like you're going to turn on someone that you're married to, and how does that get complicated? Because like where does does your wealth get halved or something and go to the other person because you know half of everything goes to the person you're married to, or whatever. I don't know. Do you have to pay a dowry to marry a princess? Like, I really want to do like this kind of political based RTS thing. I kind of always wanted to do one. Who knows? There's a new Age of Empires coming. Maybe that'll serve everything I want anyways, but... Yeah, it's raining really hard right now. I wouldn't be surprised if my signal's cutting out. It is raining. Yeah, it's raining. If the stream's still going, it's raining really hard. So it's killing the signal. I'm just gonna keep going. So some of this is being recorded anyways. The next question we have is what? Oh, Elizabeth said, "What is a video game that you love that everyone else hates?" Zelda 2. That's an easy one. Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. I have not met a single person who loves it as much as I do, and everyone I know really, really, really dislikes it. Let's see here. I don't know why it wasn't even supposed to rain. It's so dumb. Let's see how bad it is. It's so stupid that it's raining. It said no more rain today, and it's like just downpouring. Downpouring so bad. Alright, I'm going to move on to... Oh, now we have a good connection again. I don't... Whatever. The next question we have... The next question we have, this is the last one from Elizabeth, I think, said, what is the video game that you hate that everyone else loves? I don't know if there's a game I hate that everybody loves, but there's a game I rank really low compared to other games that everyone else loves. That is Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time does not make my top 10 Zelda games of all time. I don't even know if it makes my top 12 if I sat down. So... yeah, Ocarina of Time ranks in like my bottom 5 Zelda games. That does not mean I think it's a bad game. There's only one Zelda game I think is a bad game. But yeah, so Ocarina of Time. Again, I don't downright hate a lot of games. So especially popular games. Let me see here. Next up comes from Token Geek. He asked, do you want a new 3D Donkey Kong game? If so, would you rather it be more like an action platformer or a collectathon like DK64? What's an action platformer? I think the only 3D platforming kind of games I've played were all collectathons. Mario, Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong. They're like all collectathons. Crash. Oh, Crash isn't really 3D. I guess Spyro. Spyro would probably be more of a 3D action-oriented one. I mean, there's stuff you can collect, but it's mostly 3D action-oriented. Or if it's not Spyro, what am I thinking of? Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank's more action. I'd rather probably be a collectathon. I think a collectathon fits more with DK's style. Do I want a new one? Sure, why not? I mean, why not? There's no reason not to have it. So, why not? I mean, I don't think Donkey Kong 64 is the greatest game in the world, but that doesn't mean I think they should abandon the collectathon. I think they just need to improve upon it, make it better. And Nintendo knows how to make platforming games, so why not? Mark Greenberg had one for us. This is actually one he put up today, specifically because of the last stream. Convince us to buy Pokemon Let's Go! Pikachu and Eevee. Convince you. What, I gotta be a salesman for something I don't know everything about? My thing is, I can't convince anyone to buy anything. Like, people might ask for gaming recommendations, and I'll give recommendations based on my taste. But like, I can't be like, yeah, but just because I love it means you're going to. I love everything we have seen from Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu. Doesn't mean that you're going to love it and that you love everything. So I can't convince people to buy the game. All I can do is convince people of why I like it. And I feel like this is something... This actually... The stream just died. Oh, wait, no. Stream resumed. Stream dies, stream resumes. Because the rain comes down hard, then the rain slows down, then the rain comes down hard, then the rain slows down. Rain comes down hard, then the rain slows down. Oh, you gotta love rainstorms. It's not even supposed to be rain. How? When does this rainstorm clear out? When does this rainstorm clear out? I should check here. Gotta love weather. Don't worry, guys. Tomorrow I'll be back on my internet. So there is that. You won't have to worry about this after today. And here's my thing. Like when casual gameplay says, whatever, it's not for everyone at all. I hate to tell you this. The Pokemon base games isn't for everyone either. Just so you know. Oh. When is this rain supposed to stop? This is ridiculous. Rain, rain, go away. Come again another day. It'll be gone at midnight. Jeez. I feel bad for the people that are paying money to rent the other cabin. They've been wanting to go out on the boat all day. In fact, I think they went out on the boat and got caught out in the storm. Oh.